Have you ever been banned from your own family's Thanksgiving dinner? Not because of a fight, not because of a scandal, not because of anything you did wrong, but because your job wasn't impressive enough. 5 days before the holiday, my mother called with one cold, calculated message. Your sister is bringing her wealthy boyfriend to meet the family. She doesn't want you there. Your blue-collar teaching job would embarrass her. I said, I understand, and hung up. What my family didn't know, what nobody knew, was that I had been quietly, secretly, silently, controlling a $15 million inheritance. The exact money my perfect sister was counting on for her dream wedding, her dream life, her entire future. And when they discovered the truth 5 days later, panicking, pounding on my door, everything they thought they knew about me collapsed. My name is Thora Mitchell. I'm 32 years old, and this is that story. If you're watching right now, subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. I want to know you're here. Sunday, November 24th, 6:47 p.m. I was grading papers at my desk, third period history, the progressive era. I'd just written excellent analysis across my student Marcus Thompson's essay about workers' rights and human dignity. The irony of that moment wouldn't hit me until much later. There I was, celebrating a teenager's understanding of fair treatment, while my own family was preparing to remind me exactly where I stood in their hierarchy. Thora, my mother said. That voice, warm on the surface, steel underneath. A combination I'd spent 32 years learning to decode. We need to talk about Thanksgiving. I set down my red pen. In the Mitchell family, we need to talk never once preceded good news. Vivian is bringing Derek to meet the family. You know how important this is. Derek Hartwell, CEO of Hartwell Capital, a private equity fund managing over $400 million. My sister's golden ticket to the life she'd always believed she deserved. That's wonderful, I said, and I genuinely meant it. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Silence. The kind of silence that wraps a knife in silk. That's actually what I wanted to discuss. Vivian feels it might be better if you weren't there this year. The words landed like stones, dropped into still water. I felt the ripples spread through my chest, cold, familiar, devastating. It's nothing personal, Thora. Derek comes from a very particular world. Finance, investments, and she searched for the word. We both knew she'd already found it. Your career choice. It might send the wrong message. My career choice. As if I'd stumbled into teaching by accident. As if I hadn't fought for my certification while working 2 jobs simultaneously. As if I hadn't earned a master's degree while my family attended Vivian's perfectly catered parties without me. Mom, I have a master's degree in education. I've been teaching for 10 years. Exactly. Her tone shifted, as if I had just proven her point. 10 years, and you're still making what, 50,000? 58. Right. That number would always be too small in her ledger. No matter what I earned, it would never be enough. I thought about last Thanksgiving, the way she introduced me. This is Thora, My older daughter, she teaches. That pause, heavy, deliberate, soaked in unspoken disappointment. Then her voice transforming completely. And Vivian, of course, is in corporate marketing. I thought about the $3,000 I had wired for Vivian's engagement party without a single word of protest. Mom, I could come after dinner, just to say hello, meet Derek briefly. Vivian was very clear. She doesn't want you there at all. Please don't make this difficult. For me, Thora. Don't make this difficult. For me. As if I were the one holding the knife. I looked around my small apartment, the secondhand couch I'd reupholstered myself, the bookshelves I was genuinely proud of, the kitchen where I packed my lunch at 5:30 every morning because cafeteria prices were just slightly out of reach. This was the life that embarrassed them. I understand, I said. 2 words, automatic, worn completely smooth by a decade of practice. I understand when she forgot my birthday, but threw Vivian a catered surprise party. I understand when my promotion to department chair went unmentioned, while Vivian's new corner office got a 20-minute family celebration. I understand. The 2 most expensive words I had ever learned to say. Good. I knew you'd be reasonable. You always are. We hung up. I sat in silence, watched the last November light disappear from my window. Then I opened my laptop. There was a folder I hadn't touched in months, labeled simply Grandma Eleanor. Inside, an email from Margaret Caldwell, attorney at law. Subject, Annual Trust Review, Eleanor Mitchell Trust. I closed the laptop without reading it. But that night, for the first time in 10 years, I didn't cry myself to sleep. I felt something completely different. A hollow space where my patience used to live. And deep inside that emptiness, something new and quiet was beginning to grow. Thanksgiving arrived, gray, cold. By noon, I'd graded 32 essays. By 3, I'd reorganized my entire bookshelf. By 5, I'd accepted that no amount of productivity could fill this particular hollow. Dinner was a microwavable turkey breast, instant mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce from a can. The saddest meal I'd ever assembled, eaten standing at my counter, alone. Because sitting at my table felt too formal for a party of one. At 8:47 p.m., my phone lit up. Vivian, with a photo attached. Thanks for understanding, sis. Derek loved the dinner. He said our family is so put together, LOL. I opened the image. My entire family, arranged around my parents' mahogany dining table. The one Grandma Eleanor had given them 30 years ago. My mother, beaming. My father, smiling uncomfortably. Vivian, glowing, beside a dark-haired man in an expensive sweater. 4 place settings, no empty chair, because they hadn't even bothered to set one. I looked more carefully at the photo. There in the background, on the sideboard, my grandmother's silver tea service, the one she had explicitly promised to me, the one I had spent countless Sunday afternoons helping her polish while she told me stories about the kind of woman she hoped I would become. My mother had kept it. Of course she had. That night I called my best friend Rachel, and Rachel said something that I hadn't let myself hear in 10 years. When are you going to stop letting them treat you this way? You pay for their parties, you show up when they call, you apologize for existing, and they keep taking because you keep giving. Your grandmother didn't make you trustee by accident, Thora. She saw something in you. Maybe it's finally time you saw it too. After we hung up, I opened the laptop, clicked on the attachment I'd been avoiding for 2 full years. Section 4.2, Paragraph 1. The trustee shall have sole and absolute discretion to determine the timing, amount, and conditions of any distributions to the beneficiary. Sole discretion. Absolute. I thought about the photo, the 4 smiling faces, the chair they never set. I thought about my grandmother's voice in her final months. One day you'll need this, Thora. And when that day comes, remember, you are not powerless. You never were. I closed the laptop. I wasn't ready to make decisions tonight, but for the first time in 2 years, I was ready to stop pretending this choice didn't exist. My grandmother had given me a key. The question was whether I was finally willing to use it. Friday, November 29th, 4:23 p.m. The doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I looked through the peephole, and my stomach dropped to the floor. My mother, Vivian, my father, all 3 of them, standing in my hallway, urgency written across every single face. I opened the door. My mother pushed past me without waiting. "Thora, we need to talk about grandmother's trust." The words hit me like cold water. They knew. "Derek's financial advisor ran a background check," Vivian said. "Standard procedure. Imagine my surprise when he mentioned a $15 million trust with my name on it that I never knew existed." "You're the trustee?" "You, a teacher, making barely $50,000 a year." 58. "Whatever. This has to be a mistake. Grandma wouldn't put you in charge of anything important." My mother switched tactics immediately, voice going soft, warm, the exact voice she used whenever she needed something from me. "Sweetheart, estate matters are complicated. Families should handle these things together." She pulled a folder from her purse. "I've had our attorney draw up paperwork to transfer the trustee role to me. It's really the most sensible." "No." The word hung in the air between us. Simple, absolute, final. Grandma Eleanor chose me, deliberately. The trust is legally binding. I won't be signing anything. "You don't know anything about money. You ride the bus to work. You embarrassed us at my engagement party in that department store dress. And you work in marketing at your boyfriend's company because he hired you as a personal favor." I watched her flinch. "I know about the interview process, Vivian, or rather, the lack of one." "You're being selfish," my mother snapped. "This money is for Vivian's future, her wedding, her security. Do you want to stand in the way of your own sister's happiness?" "I'm doing exactly what Grandma asked me to do." Then, and I hadn't planned to say it, the words just came. "I'll be at the gala tomorrow night. If you want to discuss the trust, we can do it there." "You weren't invited to the gala." "Actually," I reached into my purse and pulled out the badge. Gold letters, cream cardstock. Thora Mitchell, founding donor. For the first time in my life, I watched my mother's composure crack completely. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. "That's not possible." "The organization has records. Feel free to verify." Vivian snatched the badge from my hand, staring at it like it might catch fire. "Where did you get $50,000? "Grandma Eleanor. A personal bequest, separate from the trust. She believed in what they stood for. I honored her memory. The silence that followed was profound. I had spent 32 years being the invisible daughter, the embarrassing career choice, the seat not worth setting. And in 30 seconds, everything they thought they knew about me had shattered. As they turned to leave, my mother paused at the door. Think very carefully about what you're doing, Thora. Family is everything. I know, I said, holding the door open. That's why I spent 10 years trying to be part of one. The Beacon Hill Winter Charity Gala filled the grand ballroom of the Harrington Plaza. Crystal chandeliers, 500 guests in designer gowns, the quiet hum of old money in expensive rooms. I arrived at 7:15 p.m., wearing a simple black dress I'd bought on clearance for $200, but the badge pinned to my chest outshone every piece of jewelry in the room. At the VIP entrance, a staff member smiled. Ms. Mitchell, the board specifically asked me to express their gratitude. Your support has meant everything. I accepted a glass of champagne, moved through the crowd. Tonight, I was done hiding. I spotted them at 7:32. My mother in emerald green, my father uncomfortable in a rental tuxedo, and Vivian, radiant in silver, beside Derek Hartwell. Tall, dark-haired, carrying himself with the easy confidence of someone who had never once worried about a bill. They hadn't seen me yet. At 7:48 p.m., Derek noticed my badge. I watched the exact moment it happened. His eyes landed on the gold letters. He said something quietly to Vivian. She glanced toward me and went pale. Excuse me, he said, extending his hand. I'm Derek Hartwell. I wanted to personally thank you for your support. Your contributions have been extraordinary. Thank you. I'm Thora Mitchell. The name registered instantly. Mitchell, as in Vivian's older sister? Yes. He turned to Vivian. You told me you didn't know the woman with the founding donor badge. I didn't recognize her. The lighting. Your sister has donated over $100,000 to a foundation I've supported for years, and you didn't recognize her. Other guests were beginning to notice, the body language speaking clearly, tension, conflict, the irresistible pull of a scene unfolding in real time. My mother appeared instantly. Derek, darling, have you seen the silent auction? Mrs. Mitchell, I was just thanking your daughter for her charitable contributions. I understand she's been a founding donor for 2 years. Patricia's smile froze. My daughter? Thora? She's contributed $50,000 annually, more than most VIP ticket holders combined. I didn't realize. Didn't realize your own daughter was a major philanthropist? Interesting. Then a new voice, calm, authoritative. Thora, I didn't expect to see you here tonight. Margaret Caldwell, navy blue gown, silver hair swept elegantly. Mr. Hartwell, always a pleasure. I hope we're still on for Monday morning, Thora. There's quite a bit to discuss regarding the annual review. Derek's attention snapped. Review? Ms. Mitchell manages a substantial trust with remarkable diligence. Your mother made an excellent choice, Mrs. Mitchell. The Eleanor Mitchell Trust is in very capable hands. The temperature around our small circle dropped by several degrees. Derek turned to Vivian slowly. Thora manages the trust. The trust you told me was being handled by the estate. Vivian's face went from pale to white. I thought... You thought what, exactly? She had no answer. I think, I said quietly, that you two have things to discuss, if you'll excuse me. I turned to leave. Derek's voice stopped me. Thora! I looked back. Behind his polished surface, something raw had cracked open. I apologize for whatever role I played in tonight's confusion, and for whatever has been happening with your family. You didn't know? No. He glanced at Vivian with quiet, unmistakable disappointment. But I'm starting to. I walked away, steadily, calmly, freely. For the first time in my life, I had stood in a room full of people my family admired, and they had been forced to see me clearly. The tables hadn't just turned. They had been flipped entirely. If you felt every single word of this story, type enough in the comments right now, because what comes next is even better. The fallout began within 48 hours. Derek told Vivian on Sunday morning he needed space to think. By Monday, their engagement was on indefinite hold. Word spread through their social circle with the efficiency of expensive gossip. The golden couple of Hartwell Capital had hit turbulence, and everyone knew why. By Tuesday, Vivian's position at the company had become untenable. She wasn't fired. Derek was too polished for that. But she was encouraged to explore opportunities better aligned with her long-term goals. She cleaned out her desk on December 3rd, Monday morning. December 2nd, I sat in Margaret's office and signed the deferral documents at 9:15 a.m. Distributions from the Eleanor Mitchell Trust suspended for 12 months, pending completion of a certified personal financial management course. Not punishment. Exactly what my grandmother had always intended. My father's email arrived that afternoon, 3 pages long, the most Harold Mitchell had written to anyone in years. He apologized for 32 years of silence. He acknowledged his failure to intervene had made him complicit. He didn't make excuses. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He simply said he wanted to do better, if I'd let him try. I read it 3 times, then saved it in a folder labeled Family. Vivian texted on December 5th. Fine, I'll take your stupid course, but don't expect me to thank you. I replied, I don't expect thanks. I expect results. Good luck with the program. December 21st, 4 days before Christmas. My apartment was warm, with the smell of rosemary chicken and roasted vegetables. Rachel had brought a pie despite insisting she didn't bake. We'd pushed my small table against the wall to make room for 6 chairs. Rachel, 2 colleagues from school, Maria from Rachel's family, and my father. Just my father. My mother had called twice asking to be included. I declined both times. Not yet, Mom. I need more time. She hadn't argued. That alone told me how much had shifted. Harold arrived at 5:30, carrying a bottle of wine and an expression of careful, fragile hope. He had never once visited my apartment. In 10 years, no one from my family had. He looked around at my books, my photographs, the small things that made this space genuinely mine. It's nice, he said quietly. It's you. Thanks, Dad. The dinner was imperfect and wonderful. At one point across the table, my father caught my eye and mouthed, "Thank you." I nodded. We were both learning what this could look like. A relationship built on honesty instead of years of careful avoidance. At 7:45 p.m., Vivian texted, "Merry Christmas, Thora. I'm trying." I showed my father. He read it twice. She means it. The course is harder than she expected, but she's doing the work. Good. She asked if you'd ever forgive her. I thought about that for a long, quiet moment. Forgiveness isn't the issue. Trust is. And trust takes time. He nodded slowly. That's fair. I texted Vivian back. 3 words. I see that. Merry Christmas. Not absolution, not warmth, but acknowledgement. A door left, slightly, carefully, open. After everyone left, I sat alone in the quiet of my apartment. Christmas lights strung across my window, the city soft and still outside. The past month had taught me things I should have learned years ago. That boundaries aren't punishment, they're protection. That saying no to unfair treatment isn't selfish, it's survival. That you can love people and still absolutely refuse to accept harm from them. My grandmother had understood all of this. She had given me the tools to protect myself, knowing I would need time to find the courage to actually use them. You are not powerless, Thora. You never were. I hadn't believed her then. I believed her now. I would keep teaching, not because I couldn't do anything else, but because it mattered. Because every time Marcus Thompson wrote a brilliant essay or Jasmine Reyes asked a sharp question, I remembered exactly why I had chosen this path. My so-called blue-collar job had never been the problem. The problem was people who measured human worth in salary figures instead of actual impact. And I was done. Completely. Permanently. Finally. Done letting those people define mine. If you've ever had to draw a line with someone you love, or if you're still gathering the courage to do it, you are not alone. Drop a comment. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me your story. If you want more stories like this one, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you for being here with me. Take care of yourself. You deserve it.